Legionnaires, it gives me great pleasure this morning to introduce a great friend of the American Legion. He has worked in D.C. for over 20 years. He started as a professional staff member on the House Foreign Affairs Committee and then served as a senior policy advisor. In 2007, he joined the Obama campaign as his senior policy advisor. After President Obama was elected, our guest served in numerous national security roles, including White House Chief of Staff. In 2021, he was confirmed by Congress as the 11th Secretary of Veterans Affairs. Legion family, please join me in welcoming Secretary Denis McDonough.
Thanks for that very kind introduction. Let me just start with some shout outs to three great leaders, Christopher Carlton, Vicky Counts, and Shannon Muntabaum. They're the glue that make this great organization run and that bring our partnership to life. So thank you for everything. I also want to thank you for something we'll do in a minute, which is recognizing two exemplary VA leaders, Dr. Patricia Dickman and Mr. Govind Tarshan, both of the Minneapolis VA healthcare system, as the 2022 Physician and Healthcare Provider of the Year. I'm very proud of them, yes, as Minnesotans, of course, and as representatives of the finest workforce in the federal government, our VA team. They demonstrate the highest level of commitment, dedication, and empathy in their work with veterans, and we're lucky to have them on the VA team. Let me also just begin by saying thank you to each and every Legionnaire for your service, your devotion to vets, and for our partnership in serving them as well as they have served us, serving you as well as you have served us. These past 2 years, we have delivered more care and more benefits to more vets than at any other time in our history. Thanks to many people, including each and every one of you in this room. We're going to keep fighting like hell for vets together, for all vets, to give them the best possible outcomes. And we're looking forward to collaborating even more effectively, to build on what's working, and to fix what's not. I want to focus on our partnership because we at VA have no more important partner than the Legion. But first, let me allow me a moment to tell you a quick story. I was reading a tribute to President Jimmy Carter this past weekend, who, along with his family, of course, is in our prayers. In it, I read about how President Carter came from a long line of vets, going back to his first ancestors to settle in Georgia during the Revolutionary War, extending all the way to his father's service in World War I. That history led him to apply to the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis at the height of the Second World War. Led him to volunteer to join the Navy's fledgling nuclear submarine program. President Carter planned to make a career in the Navy, but was forced to resign to take over the family's farm after the unexpected death of his father. I tell all of this because the next part of President Carter's story immediately stood out to me. What I learned is that one of the first things he did when he returned home, one of the very first things he did when he returned home, was to join the local American Legion post, the one that his father had been a member. American Legion Post number 2 in Americus, the first post established in the state of Georgia. President Carter spent his life proud to have worn the uniform as a sailor in the United States Navy, and proud to have worn the same American Legion cap that I see on so many of you. He found a community in the American Legion at a time when his life had been turned upside down. I know that has been the case for each of you in this room and for generations of vets before you and generations of vets to come. In fact, the history of community building of taking care of fellow veterans during some of the most difficult challenges continues in American Legion posts in Georgia and across the country today. I saw that Georgia's American Legion 1st District held a retreat this past November, centered on your Be the One campaign to reduce the rate of veteran suicide by eliminating the stigma associated with mental health treatment. This event was a place for Legionnaires to get together to create camaraderie and to share their own stories. The retreat was the idea of Georgia's 1st District Commander, Casey Nash, who earned multiple combat action badges and a Purple Heart following multiple post 9/11 deployments. Casey was a survivor of suicide herself. Casey credits the community she discovered through the Legion with helping her recover, helping her find a sense of purpose again, with helping save her life. Today she's building a community for dozens of other veterans in her area, sharing stories and supporting one another in the moments when it matters the most. So I thank you, each of you again. The impact you have on behalf of veterans, the community and camaraderie that you build every single day is inspiring. This is what our work is all about, getting the job done for vets together. Whether that means providing the best care in the world, the benefits they've earned, or a dignified, lasting resting place that honors their service and sacrifice. When you hear from a vet who needs something, I want your first call to be to us. I want your first call to be to me. Together we can solve problems with full transparency, holding nothing back, continuing to build trust by telling the whole story. Look, we're proud of our accomplishments, but we're going to be candid about our families. Candid with ourselves, with you, with other vets, and with the American people. We still can, in fact, must be better and do better for the vets we serve. We touch on 3 goals: more care, more benefits, more vets. First with care. Over the last 2 years, we've delivered more care to more vets than at any time in our nation's history. In just the past year, vets had 73 million outpatient appointments at VA and 37 million more outpatient appointments with community care providers in their towns and in their cities. Meanwhile, we've seen a staggering 3,000% increase in virtual home visits since 2020. Over 23 million total in that time. And in the midst of such revolutionary change in how we deliver care, vets continue to tell us that they trust us. On average, for outpatient care, trust is hovering around 90%, including among historically marginalized vets. All of you in this room help us earn and maintain that trust every single day. But we need to build more of it, especially with our women vets, who are trusting us at a lower level, about 87%. We need to significantly improve trust with our younger post 9/11 vets, like Rye Barcroft, who I just saw. Across the board, the younger the vet, the less they trust us. To build that trust, we need to make their care experience better and more effective, no matter if it's in the community or whether it's in the direct care system. We need your help, our strong partnership to strengthen our networks, making sure that our network members help us coordinate care for vets. Because VA doesn't always get the community care records back in a timely manner. Sometimes they don't get the records back at all. It means we can't coordinate the vet's care. It means we can't manage the cost of that care. It means that the care gets less effective while it gets more expensive. The trend should be just the opposite. More effective care, delivered less expensive. Now, one reason the community care is sometimes slow is because we need to do our job and we need more staff to do it. And I'll hit hiring in a minute. But I want to ask you to sit down with community providers in our network and in your states and in your communities to get their help. We need them to sign up for our health share referral management system. The technology we have that will improve communications, coordination, and medical documentation sharing between VA and private providers. And if not health share, there's the Joint Legacy Viewer, there's eFax, and of course, there's the U.S. Postal Service. We need them to use VA's request for service process to meet any additional needs for our vets. We need them to make it clear and transparent in how they do that so that we can all do a better job. Another place we have to deepen our partnership is on our #1 clinical priority: mental health and suicide prevention. We all have to be there for our vets when it matters most, especially in times of crisis. 2 years ago, we failed a Marine, Major Ian Fishback, because we didn't carefully coordinate our response to his needs across federal, local, county, and state lines. I can update you today that we spent the last year among VA Office of Mental Health and Suicide Prevention, in VISN 10, and with the Michigan State authorities, so we're better positioned to ensure that a vet isn't responsible for managing complex government bureaucracies. We're responsible for that. We have to do that for all vets. This is the charge the President gave us in the State of the Union this year. Vets need and deserve suicide prevention solutions that meet them where they are, rather than taking a one-size-fits approach. So I want to quickly run through 5 solutions that we're pursuing on this critical challenge. First, we just announced the final round of prizes for our Mission Daybreak Challenge, totaling nearly $20 million across 40 teams to build proven new solutions developed by Americans in communities across the country. These investments will help develop innovations that will save vets' lives. Second, we announced today the next round of funding opportunities for the Staff Sergeant Parker Gordon Fox Suicide Prevention Grants. These are getting resources to local suicide prevention services where vets are, funding local innovations among the people who know their vets best. Third, we launched Suicide Prevention 2.0, designed to recruit, hire, and train more than 100 licensed mental health providers serving veterans at high risk of suicide. At VA, as in every healthcare system in the country, we're badly in need of additional trained mental health care specialists. Fourth, we're significantly expanding VA coverage through the Compact Act, opening doors of emergency care when vets need it most, to access any healthcare facility, VA or not, for free emergency mental health care coverage. Finally, we brought on over 1,300 peer support specialists. These peer support specialists are all vets, trained to use their personal experiences with their own recovery to help struggling fellow vets reconnect, find a sense of belonging, and access resources at VA in their communities. Look, here's what we know after decades of experience with 12-step programs, something that all of our families, surely mine, is familiar with. Recovery takes work every single day. Every day, it takes recognition of a higher power. We also know that nothing helps one's recovery quite like helping out someone else who's struggling, fighting through recovery, through everyday challenges. Vets helping vets, long after they take off the uniform. There's nothing better than that. There's nothing more effective than that. And nobody does that better than the American Legion. Now, I know that's a lot, but suicide prevention is a critical goal, and we will stop at nothing until we get to 0 veteran suicides. And with all this work and more, saving lives is exactly what we're going to do. Together, we will do it. Now let me touch on how we're partnering with VA and the American Legion to get more benefits to more veterans. Right now, we're delivering more benefits more quickly to more vets than ever before, but we can do better. And Legionnaires are helping us get there. Legionnaires like Chris Earl, who's doing so in a very creative way. Before enlisting in the Marine Corps, Chris was a professional video gamer. He saw many of his friends struggling as they transitioned out of the military, so in 2020, he decided to create his own video game community for veterans, active duty service members, and their families. The kind of community they developed in the military. Today, it's the largest of its kind in the country with nearly 20,000 members. Chris teamed up with the Legion, collaborating in a few different ways, including wildly successfully in online gaming tournaments for vets. In this community, veterans started asking each other questions about how to use VA care, how to get VA benefits. The camaraderie they built over video game competitions has turned into trust, willingness to ask tough questions, personal questions from virtual friends living on opposite sides of the country. Chris estimated that his channel receives around 100 questions a week about VA benefits, many from veterans under 30. So another Legionnaire, Jeremy Wolfsteller, an Army combat veteran and benefit service officer out of Minnesota, hosted a VA assistance workshop on this online community through Twitch, a live streaming platform for gamers. This kind of thinking, how to be a conduit to communities and the VA, to share information and answer questions, is such a great way to connect to younger veterans. Connecting younger veterans to service officers through on-gaming video game communities. It's exactly the kind of mutually supportive veteran community the American Legion has built throughout its history. Now redesigned for the digital age. It helps build trust in VA where we need it most, with younger vets who may be suspicious of VA or heard horror stories of wait times and bureaucracy. Together, the Legion and VA can build a responsive claims process that vets deserve and that they can trust. Because I know we at VA still have a lot of work to do to meet our responsibility to the veterans today. I tell you this because we're well on our way to doing it. Last year, we set an all-time record with over 1.7 million claims. And we're on our pace to break that record this year. Just since the PACT Act was signed last August, a law that was signed because of the tireless work of the American Legion, veterans and survivors have filed more than 1 million claims, over 24% more than the same period a year ago. Today, we've awarded 103,000 toxic exposure claims out of 128,000 that we've reviewed. Again, thanks to your help, in part because you made such a strong presence across the country during our PACT Act week of engagement last December. We have to make sure every vet knows about these new toxic exposure claims. Here's why. Vet exposed to herbicides while serving in Thailand in the early 70s have been trying to get service connection for Parkinson's, diabetes mellitus type 2, and peripheral neuropathy for 7 years. All his previous claims and appeals have been denied. Then on the first day of this year, the first day we granted PACT Act benefits, that vet was granted service connection for 13 disabilities. That's because the PACT Act added a presumptive for his service in Thailand. For him, that's a retroactive and monthly benefit that will go a long way to supporting his well-being for the rest of his life. So help us tell your vets. 1, apply for toxic exposure benefits and care now. Applying before August 10th this year means that benefits awarded will be backdated to August 10th last year, the day the President signed the act. 2nd, enrolled vets should get a toxic exposure screening at their VA medical center. Nearly 2 million vets already have. And if those vets aren't enrolled, let's get them enrolled. 3rd, some vets worry that applying for toxic exposure benefits will impact their current benefits. The truth is that with the PACT Act, they're 32 times more likely to see their benefits increase or stay the same than to see a decrease. 4th, there are people trying to convince vets that they need to hire a lawyer or pay somebody to get their VA benefits. That ain't true. Working directly with VA, working with the Legion, it's free and it's easy to apply. And anybody can learn more about the PACT Act and apply anytime by visiting va.gov/PACT or calling 1-800-MY-VA-411. That's 1-800-698-2411. We've talked about more care and more benefits. Let's take a minute about reaching more vets and how our partnership can increase access for more vets. First, we're investing in modern facilities to expand access. We opened 17 CBOCs last year, providing better access for 2.8 million vets. And this year, we're awarding and completing significant major construction projects that will increase access for millions more. And thanks again to the Legion and the PACT Act that you got enacted, we have new authorizations and funding for 31 major leases, which will increase access for 4.5 million vets. Let's continue to work to ensure that the exercise of these leases is handled efficiently. We share data on how best to position them correctly, so we bring care to vets, rather than expecting vets to bring themselves hundreds and hundreds of miles to care. We still need more people to ensure we're processing claims more quickly and providing timely access to care. That's why we're aggressively hiring for positions across VA. VBA has hired 2,500 people so far this year, but anticipates needing 4,500 more. So far this year, VHA has hired 18,500 clinicians, but we need over 33,000 more. So we need your help finding and hiring the best of the best. Send us vets to hire. Send us people like Serena, whom we hired in Michigan. Her grandfather, a World War II vet, she said, I just want to give back because vets have given their whole lives for our freedom. And reaching more vets means reaching all vets. All vets. After World War II, our country failed 1 million black vets, men and women, both at every level. After they finished fighting in Europe and the Pacific, black vets had to fight something back home as insidious as any enemy. Unfortunately, that fight's still raging, and we're not immune. There have been unacceptable disparities in benefits decisions. We're committed to righting these wrongs, to ensure we're combating institutional racism and discrimination rather than perpetuating it. So we'll continue to take steps to ensure black vets and all minority and historically underserved vets get what they have earned and so richly deserve. That all vets get what they have earned and so richly deserve. We'll be taking a series of steps this coming year, building on the steps we've taken over the last 2, to ensure that our fastest growing cohort of women vets, feel welcome at VA. And we will be taking the next steps to make sure we're providing the full spectrum of care to transgender vets. No, I'm not naive about the environment we're operating in and the pressure we can all feel around politics. I feel it. But some things are beyond politics. All vets, each and every vet, deserves timely access to world-class health care and earned benefits. Not some, all vets. Because when you and all our vets signed up to serve, we made a promise to you. If you fight for us, we'll fight for you. If you serve us, we'll serve you. You take care of us, we'll take care of you when you come home. Our country as a whole makes that promise, but it's our job at VA to keep that promise. It's our job at VA and the Legion to keep that promise. To each of you, to each vet. And here's my commitment to you. I will never settle for anything less than that. That's the lens through which I've seen my work to date. And I'll stand by that approach in the year ahead. And in the spirit of partnership I've spoken with you about today, and I've intended to conduct myself with over these last 2 years together, I'll always be candid with you about each decision I make. Always open to you, to your feedback, to your advice, even if, and perhaps even especially when, you disagree with me. Oftentimes, that's what matters the most. Your candid feedback, your candid advice. So I look forward to working with you in the year ahead. Look forward to continuing providing more care, more benefits, and more vets. May God bless each of you. May God bless our service members protecting our country today, our veterans, their families, caregivers, and survivors. Thanks again.